Main Street Electrical Parade. Who has never seen the parade before tonight? Crickets. Oh, we got some in the back. Okay, awesome. Who has seen this parade 5 times? 10? Cheers. 20? 50? I'm not, you guys aren't that big of fans then, right? Let me hear you scream if you've seen this parade 50 times. That's what I'm talking about. So we're so excited to host you tonight for the Disney Parks Blog Main Street Electrical Parade Meetup. How about those sweets? So cute. And so now we're going to have a panel discussion with some of the creative professionals who have brought this parade back to Disneyland. And then afterwards, we have reserved viewing for you all right across the way in front of It's a Small World. So, joining us today on behalf of the Disney Parks Blog, thank you so much for reading and for following along with all of the news and information and stories that we share with you each day. It's a pleasure and a privilege to do that for you. So let's get right to it and bring on our panelists. Healy. Bruce is the principal music producer, Disneyland Creative Entertainment. Thank you, Bruce. And then John Addis. John is show director at Disneyland Creative Entertainment. So each of you, I'd love to hear your role here at Disneyland and with the parade. Robin, let's start with you.
Great, thanks, Erin. Like Erin said, my name's Robin Boston. I'm the General Manager of Entertainment Operations for Disneyland Park. And I have the privilege of leading a dynamic team who's responsible for all the entertainment you see here in Disneyland each and every day. From parades to characters to shows, our singer-dancers, our fireworks shows. Our responsibility is to make sure we can get our show up and running every single day for our guests in the creative way that my partners designed the show to be. It's a great privilege.
And Bruce?
My name is Bruce Healy, and my title is Principal Music Producer for Disneyland Creative Entertainment, and it's been my pleasure and privilege to do that job for quite a while now. And I'm responsible for producing and overseeing the production of music for not only parades and stage shows, but atmosphere groups, special events, and a host of other interesting and exciting things, some of which most people never really see because they're a little bit behind the scenes. But it's really fascinating and a much varied type of a job.
We certainly appreciate the parts that we do get to see, Bruce. And John, how about you?
Well, I'm John, and I have been here going on 30 years. I do a lot of parades. I'm a show director. I do a lot of parades. My very first parade here, does anyone remember the American Gazette parades? Wow. That was my very first parade that I did here.
I think I heard one.
What? It's true. Yes.
Yeah. There's two right there.
Bruce. And I actually opened this venue as Videopolis. Take it to the top, video. That was my first point that I was directing a show here. And then started doing parades and fireworks shows with Stephen Davidson. And I don't know, I kind of became the parade guy. I've done Sensational, Mickey Sensational Parade, Parade of Dreams. Do y'all remember Party Drop? Yeah. So I kind of am the parade fireworks guy right now. and any sort of special events that come up.
So let's talk a little bit about the Main Street Electrical Parade and how it got its start. Yeah, how did the parade begin? What was the original inspiration?
Well, the original inspiration was at Seven Seas Lagoon at Walt Disney World. The electrical water pageant was what it's called, and it was first premiered there in 1971. It was on the water. It's flats that go on the water. It was designed as a goodnight kiss for everyone leaving the Magic Kingdom. And I believe it also opened when the Polynesian Hotel opened. And Bob Yawning, who I consider a genius, had the great idea of taking it out of the water and putting it on the streets. So in 1972, the parade premiered here at Disneyland, and it was a lot different than what you're going to see tonight. It was basically those same flats going down the street. It also was, there was a huge Chinese dragon. It wasn't really a storytelling parade, it was just all about the lights. So that's kind of the origins of it, and here we are today. It's back.
The interesting thing about that, Aaron, is that the water pageant still plays today at Walt Disney World. If you're ever out by Seven Seas Lagoon, you still get that same good night kiss. And so it's great to see something that started out so simple so long ago is still so really special to so many of our guests that visit our parks.
It says a lot for the staying power of the things that are created, and especially things that people love so much.
It's true.
So let's talk about the Baroque Hoedown. I think a lot of people are fans of that little tune in this room. Bruce, where did that tune come from? And can you tell us what exactly is electro-synthomagnetic musical sound?
Okay. Two questions there, I think. So, Baroque Hoedown, when the Main Street Electrical Parade was being conceived, or the electrical water pageant actually, was being conceived, Bob Yanni went to the then music producer for Disneyland and Walt Disney World, who was Jack Wagner, who was the, at the time, well-known voice of Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And he produced not only the announcements for the park, but he also produced the music for certain types of shows, like the Sky Show in Florida, I believe he produced that. He was responsible for producing the first version of the Electrical Parade. And Jack, in his research, discovered a piece of music by Jean-Jacques Perry and Gershon Kingsley on an album, and they took that piece of music and took a 1 and 3 second excerpt of that piece of music, which is what we now know as the Baroque Hoedown, and looped it so that it would play over and over again. And then to that was added individual float music that was created in counterpoint. So the theme of each float, if it were Cinderella, then it would be Cinderella songs. That would be little snippets of Cinderella songs that were arranged in counterpoint to the Baroque Hoedown. And so each of the units of the parade was made that way musically. And it evolved from the very first version that was recorded by Jack Wagner and Jim Christensen and Paul Beaver. And the parade started with a simple oscillator sweep, which is that sound that goes like that. And it cross-faded right into the beginning of the parade. They just faded up. And then after the parade went past you, it just faded out. And then in 1977, after taking a 1-year hiatus for the Americana Parade, when it was brought back, Don Dorsey had created the Fanfare of Lights and this closing fanfare, and that's what you hear today when you hear the Main Street Electric Parade, and it starts, you're hearing that Fanfare of Lights, and the vocoder announced that electronic sounding voice, which is actually Jack Wagner's voice triggering a synthesizer. So that's how that's made. And that fanfare plays as the lights come down, and then it segues into Baroque Hoedown. And then when you get to the end of the parade, the reverse happens and segues out of Baroque Hoedown and into the closing fanfare. So that became a rather ingenious way to start and finish a parade that became the template for every musical synchronized parade that we've produced since then. We've done lots of variations on it, but most of the parades have that same kind of a foundation.
What's interesting about Baroque Hoedown, we were just talking about this in the back, is that if you ask somebody, do you know the Baroque Hoedown, it's immediately attached to the Main Street Electrical Parade, which we think is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I call it the small world effect. You go on Small World, you come out, you can't stop thinking about it's a small world. You go to the electrical parade, you hear Baroque Hoedown. I challenge you not to sing or hum Baroque Hoedown as you're walking out.
You must hear it in your sleep now.
I do. When you're rehearsing, that's all I hear.
Well, a little bit more about the history of the parade. Can you tell us a little bit about its many runs here at the Disneyland Resort, its history here at Disneyland?
Well, it opened in 1972, June of 1972, and ran until 19...
Took a hiatus for American Parade in 76.
Right, but then 96 was when...
In 1996, we glowed away. Was anybody here when it glowed away?
And there was one other little period of time. We were reminded by one of our closest friends here on this stage that the electrical parade actually took a 2-year hiatus in 1983 for Flights of Fantasy Parade that I was also privileged to be involved in. And then that was followed by
Donald Duck's birthday parade.
And then it came back in 85 to continue on until 1996.
And then it traveled. It went to Walt Disney World. I believe some units went to Paris Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland. There was even a parade in New York for the opening of Hercules. They had a Hercules float, and it went from 42nd Street up 5th Avenue all the way to 66th Street. So imagine the electrical parade in New York City as it traveled all the way up the street. So this parade has traveled more for Disney than I have. So it's great.
What's interesting to say is that all of us have had the opportunity to watch and go visit some of the other parks where electrical parade was running down their parade route. You know, and I'm not sure they feel differently about it, but when you bring it back home, there is a different feeling when you see the Main Street Electrical Parade run down Disneyland's Main Street USA. Because I was overnights with these gentlemen while we welcomed back the electrical parade. There's just something special about seeing that parade come down our Main Street where it started so long ago that really makes this parade endearing here at Disneyland.
Robin, I know you have a special history with the parade. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can. My first job ever was a role in Main Street Electrical Parade well over 30 years ago. I had the opportunity, they called it a swing, where you had the opportunity to do quite a few different parts in the parade. And what started out as the best summer job ever, I had the opportunity to remount the parade as a parade manager. And then this year, my team, along with our creative team, went over to Walt Disney World to see what it would take to carefully and respectfully bring the parade back here to Disneyland. And so Main Street Electrical Parade really kind of launched my career here at the Disneyland Resort, where now I have the opportunity to work with amazing creative people and awesome cast members, and see many of you out on the route each and every night. It's still the best job ever.
We'll start with John.
Elliot.
All right.
Got Pete's Dragon, Elliot. It's got to be there.
I'm kind of partial to the patriotic finale float because of all of the different kinds of lighting that's on that float, and the fact that it closes the parade with and leaves you with a great feeling.
I go where it all started back in 1928. Mickey Mouse on the drum, you know, he's got the best bird's eye view of the whole parade. And it just takes me back to, it all started with a mouse, and that's why we're all here today.
And that's a wonderful float because it was, restored to its
To
original.
where it says Main Street Electrical Parade on the drum. It had said Disney's Electrical Parade, it now says Main Street Electrical Parade.
Yeah.
It's home.
Right.
So, yeah, woo! Yeah, but you can woo, that's okay. Dorothy asked if you had the ability to add a new float to the parade, what would you choose? Robin?
Goodness. I'm a princess fan. I'd probably go with Rapunzel.
The light up
With her
here.
beautiful tower.
Awesome. Bruce?
Wow, that's a tough question because there's so many great ideas that could come around. I think I really like the idea of the tango float. I think I'd have to agree with that.
Is it unanimous?
No. I love tango. I love tango. I would love to see a Sleeping Beauty float. I think it could be really a gorgeous float, and I think it would be really pretty.
You know, I'll amend mine because I also admire the music from Mulan, and I think that would be a very unique looking float.
True.
And it'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, I have a take back.
So, I think it's Micah. If it's not, I apologize for butchering your name. How many lights are in the parade?
A lot.
Okay.
Next, on the floats themselves, there's over 600,000 lights on the floats themselves. I don't think we've ever really totaled up costume-wise how many lights are on the costumes, but I do know for a fact over 600,000 because I had to clean them all.
With to make sure they're all tightly
Yeah,
screwed
got
in.
it.
That is true. We did count once upon a time, but our creative folks continue to breathe great life into it, and every time you turn around, someone has more lights on them than they did the night before.
I think the girl in the commercial knows, actually.
Possibly.
I love that commercial.
Isn't that great? Did you guys love the musical break commercial? Woo! So one last question. This one's from Patty. Which float has the most lights?
Well, I think the patriotic finale float. It's very, very large. It's 4 trailers.
That's our best guess. We think it's the finale with the eagle and the
Makes sense.
drums.